What up, dudes? Here's what we got. You have a ratio that is 3 to 4. You want to add add the number 1 or a quantity of 1 to this ratio. What is your new ratio? Here's the trap. Most people would think, all right, 3 to 4. I told you can think of a ratio as a fraction. 3 to 4. Then I told you, in the previous problem, we multiplied this ratio by 3 and we were fine. We also multiplied by 2 and we were fine. Most people would do this. All right, let's plus 1 plus 1. Okay. That gives me 4 to 5. Right? So this is what their answer would be. But this is a trap. This one's a little bit tougher to explain. Let me see if I can walk you through this one. Let me think. Okay. Here's how I would do it. I said that you can multiply ratios and be fine. Because if you think about it, let's pretend that we had inside of this room I have 6 red pens to every 8 green pens, red to green. Okay? That ratio is actually the same as 3 to 4 actually. That ratio means that for every 3 red pens I have 4 green pens. But it's still preserved if I double everything. So instead I have 12 red pens to every 16 green pens. That ratio is still preserved. That just means I have more pens, but I still have, if I had literally 12 red pens, not a ratio, but if I literally had 12 red pens to every 16 green pens, I would still have 3 red pens for every 4 green pens that I have. Does this make sense to you? Am I making sense here? Am I speaking crazy? What's your thoughts? I don't want to lose you already. So I can multiply a ratio by a constant number. I can divide a ratio by a constant number. But I can't add 1. Because if I add 1 red pen and add 1 green pen here, that would give me a new ratio of 7 red pens to every 9 green pens. That's a different ratio. Does that make sense? If I add 1 red pen, like I'm talking this right here is not talking about ratios, this is talking about the actual pens. I have 1 red pen or 12 red pens for every 16 green pens. The ratio here is 3 to 4, but if I add 1 to both sides, so now I have 13 red pens for every 17 green pens. That's a different ratio. And this ratio is not the same as that ratio. So I hate to say it, but there's no real good way to figure this one out. Really, if you told me, hey, I have a ratio of 3 to 4, and I add 1 quantity to each of them, then you ask me, what's my new ratio? I would say, my response to you would be this. I cannot figure that out based on the information you gave me. It's insufficient. You have to tell me, literally, how many red pens and how many green pens you're actually dealing with. And then they'll tell me, oh, I was actually dealing with, 24 red pens and 32 green pens inside of my closet or something like that. And I'd be like, well, you were originally right in saying that you have a ratio of 3 to 4. But if you add 1, your new ratio is 25 to 33. So, that's just the way it is. So my answer actually, in all of this, is that you can't get this answer. There is no way of figuring this answer out. I kind of waited to do this one because I knew that you guys were going to be hitting. I told you guys about multiplying ratios, and then I didn't talk about adding things to ratios. Those ratios get a little bit tricky. I need you to think hard about this kind of stuff. We cool?